The promise before the storm. The sky above the human refugee station was dark, almost like it knew what was coming. Broken spaceships floated in the air like dead birds. People moved quickly, speaking in hushed voices. They were afraid. They had a reason to be. Zane stood at the edge of the metal platform looking out into the stars. He was 22, strong, with sharp eyes and quiet confidence. He wore the old uniform of Earth's Defense Force, though Earth no longer existed. It had been destroyed 50 years ago in the war against the Galactic Alliance. Now, humans lived, on floating cities and broken moons, treated like animals. He heard footsteps behind him. "You're leaving tomorrow." It was Lyra. Zane turned. She looked beautiful even in the dim light. Her long coat shimmered with gold threads, marking her as someone important. Daughter of a diplomat, someone with power. "Yes," Zane said simply. "The trials begin at sunrise. You don't have to go." Her voice was soft. "No one survives the impossible trials. They say only 1 in 1,000 returns." "I know." He looked back at the stars. She stepped closer. "Then why are you going?" Zane smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because I have nothing to lose." There was silence between them, only the sound of distant engines and whispers from the station halls. "You have me," Lyra said. He turned, surprised. "I know we come from different worlds," she continued, "but I care about you, Zane. I always have." Zane's voice cracked just a little. "You don't have to say that now. Not because I might die." "I'm not saying it because you might die," she said. "I'm saying it because if you survive," she paused, then looked into his eyes. "If you survive, I'll marry you." The words hit Zane harder than any bullet. For a moment he didn't speak, then he laughed, just a little. "That's a dangerous promise. Then survive and collect it." He took her hand. It was warm. Real. "The only real thing left in his life. I will," he said. "I promise." The next morning, the shuttle stood waiting in the launch bay. It was old and dirty, a leftover from the war. The symbol of the Galactic Alliance was scratched into its side like a warning. Zane stood with dozens of other humans, all chosen for the trials. No one knew what the trials really were, only that they were deadly, created by alien rulers to test species. They said if a human could pass all 7 trials, Earth's people would be allowed to join the Alliance, but many believed it was a lie. As the guards pushed them forward, Zane looked back one last time. Lyra was watching from the top level of the station, her eyes locked on his. He gave a small nod. The shuttle door closed. Inside, it smelled like fuel and sweat. The others looked scared. One man was crying. Another whispered a prayer. Zane sat near a small window. He took out a tiny object from his pocket, a broken pendant Lyra had given him years ago. He held it tightly. The shuttle shook, engines roared, and then it launched into the blackness of space. But something was wrong. Only 5 minutes into the flight, alarms began to scream. "What's happening?" someone shouted. The lights turned red. The shuttle shook violently. Outside, the window, Zane saw another ship, small, fast, and armed. It was firing at them. "We're under attack," a voice screamed. Explosions rocked the cabin. Metal tore apart like paper. Half the shuttle burst into fire. Zane reached for his seatbelt. Debris flew through the air. Someone was pulled into the vacuum. The air was full of screams, smoke, and panic. And then, darkness. Zane woke up with pain in every bone. He was lying on cold metal. Around him were bodies, some human, some burned beyond recognition. His head throbbed. He pushed himself up. Outside, the broken wall of the shuttle, a strange sky glowed purple. 2 moons hung in the air. This isn't the trial site," he whispered. He heard movement. A figure stepped out of the smoke. Not human. Tall, silver skin, eyes like mirrors. The alien looked at Zane and said in a calm voice, "You were not supposed to survive the crash." Zane stood slowly. Blood dripped from his forehead. "I guess I ruined someone's plan," he said. The alien smiled. The first trial has already begun. Blood on the first day. Zane's head throbbed as he stood among the ruins of the shuttle. Fire still burned on one side of the wreckage. The metallic body of the ship hissed, melting into the strange red soil. Smoke curled into the alien sky where two moons watched like cold eyes. Half the passengers were dead. The others were scattered, lost, or too wounded to move. But something else was wrong. Too wrong. He remembered the attack clearly now. A stealth ship had fired on them. This wasn't an accident. Someone had tried to kill them before they could even reach the trial site. And yet, Zane was still breathing. The first trial has already begun, the silver-skinned alien had said. But where were the rules? The starting line? The other competitors? This wasn't a game. It was a trap. He began moving, stepping over twisted bodies and burned metal. The air smelled of ozone and blood. Every sound made his muscles tense. A hiss, a footstep, a cry in the distance. Zane picked up a broken metal pipe as a weapon. He didn't trust whatever was coming. He didn't have to wait long. A scream echoed from the forest just beyond the crash site. It was human. Zane ran. The forest was dark, too dark for a place with two moons. The trees were long and black, shaped like twisted bones. Fog curled at the base of every trunk. There were no birds, no insects, no sound except the wind and the distant sound of someone crying. Zane moved carefully. Then he saw it. A girl, young, bleeding, crawling through the mud. Behind her was something worse. A creature, tall, made of shadow with long limbs and a face that had no mouth, no eyes. It moved without touching the ground. It hunted without sound. Zane didn't think. He ran forward and smashed his pipe into the creature's back. It turned, its face still blank. But now glowing red lines formed across its skin. It made a noise that wasn't a growl. It was a signal. More shapes moved in the fog. Not one creature. Many. Zane grabbed the girl and pulled her to her feet. "Can you run?" he asked. She nodded weakly. "Then move." They ran. They found a cave by luck. Small, hidden under thick roots. Zane pulled the girl in, covered the entrance with leaves, and waited. For hours, the creatures moved outside, silent, patient, searching. One passed just inches from their hiding spot. Its breath was cold like wind before a storm. When the forest finally went quiet, Zane let himself breathe again. "What are those things?" the girl whispered. "Trial beasts," Zane said. "Probably designed to hunt us down one by one. Where are the cameras, the judges?" Zane shook his head. "I think we're not being tested for strength. We're being tested for something worse. Fear. Trust. Instinct." The girl nodded. "I'm Maya. I was on the shuttle with you." Zane offered a small smile. Zane. Then a noise came from deeper inside the cave. Footsteps. But not human. A small figure stepped out of the shadows. No more than 4 feet tall, thin with large yellow eyes and strange armor made of bone. It held up its hands. "I mean no harm," it said in broken English. "I help you." Zane raised his pipe, not trusting the thing. "Why?" he asked. The alien looked scared. "Because if you die, they win." "Who's they?" The alien hesitated. Then it said, "I am Teko. My father is one of the trial masters. But not all masters agree with what is happening." "What's really happening?" Maya asked. Teko's eyes narrowed. "This is not just a trial, it's a hunt. The leaders do not want humans to pass. They see your kind as a threat." Zane looked at the dark forest beyond the cave. "So they cheat." Teko nodded. "Every rule they made, they will break if it keeps humans from winning." Maya whispered. "Then we're not here to prove ourselves. We're here to die." Zane clenched his jaw. "Not me," he said. "I didn't come here to lose. Someone promised to marry me if I lived, and I plan to collect that promise." Teko tilted his head. "Then you must do more than survive. You must break their game. Outside, the red fog began to rise. It wasn't natural. It moved like it was alive. Teko gasped. They're releasing the blood mist. What is that? Zane asked. It marks you. If the mist touches you, the beasts can track your heartbeat. Maya was already panicking. Zane stood. We can't stay here, he said. We move now. Find shelter, weapons, and answers. Teko gave a nod. I know a place, a forbidden chamber. It holds the old maps, but it is inside the dark zone. What's the dark zone? Teko looked at him. The place where even the beasts don't go. They stepped out into the night. Behind them, the forest moved. The trial had begun, but so had something else. Zane wasn't just playing to survive anymore. He was playing to win, and he had just made his first enemy among the alien gods. The trial of Shadowsteko moved quickly through the forest, guiding Zane and Maya deeper into the strange alien land. The trees grew taller, and the air grew colder. The red mist from before had thinned, but it left strange marks on the leaves. Black, veins like dying nerves. Zane gripped the sharp piece of broken pipe in one hand, his eyes constantly scanning. You said there's a map, he said to Teko. How far is it? Teko pointed to the horizon, where the trees turned darker than night. Inside the shadow zone, he said. It's not on any official trial path. It's where the failed trials are buried, the place of broken rules. Maya looked scared. And we're going there. Why? Zane didn't hesitate. Because this whole game is a lie. If they're changing rules to stop humans, then I want to know what they're hiding. Teko gave a slow nod. Good. But if you go there, you must be ready to lose more than your body. Zane frowned. What do you mean? Teko's voice lowered. The third trial is not about pain, it's about truth. By nightfall, they reached a stone path covered in thick fog. Strange symbols glowed under their feet, red, green, and silver. Teko stopped at the edge. We cannot go together, he said. This trial is different for each person. It feeds on memory, on fear. Maya looked at Zane. Will we find each other again? Zane nodded. We will. Don't let it break you. The moment they stepped forward, the fog swallowed each of them. Zane opened his eyes. He was no longer in the forest. He was back in a burning battlefield. His old squad from Earth was screaming, trapped, wounded. But this was wrong. They were all dead. Years ago. Zane. Help us, one of them cried, crawling with half a body. He stepped back, heart racing. This was a memory, but twisted. Too sharp, too detailed. A voice whispered behind him. You let them die. You wanted to survive. You're not a hero. You're just lucky. He turned. There was no one. The battlefield twisted, shifting. Now he stood outside Lyra's room on the station. She was crying. Inside, a screen played the announcement. Zane Eric, killed in the trial crash. No survivors. She fell to her knees. He slammed his fists against the door. No, I'm alive. She couldn't hear him. This place was showing him his own death, his own failure. Meanwhile, Maya faced her own nightmare. A long hallway filled with mirrors. In each one she saw herself, older, broken, alone. Each version whispered, you'll die here. You're not strong like him. You're just following. She screamed and smashed one mirror. Behind it was a hole, and a staircase, glowing faintly. She took it. Zane was losing control, his mind spinning between memories and lies. Then a figure appeared in front of him, not a ghost, not a hallucination. Teko. But Teko was older, scarred, his armor damaged. You're not real, Zane said. No, the figure replied. But what I say is... The vision raised a hand and a wall behind Zane slid open. Inside, a room full of glowing alien symbols. A console. A map. The real map. This is what the masters don't want you to see, said the Mia vision. Every trial, every trap, every rigged path. It's all listed here. Zane stepped forward, hands shaking. He could see the patterns now, how humans were placed in deadlier areas, given fewer supplies, separated more often. They never wanted us to pass, he whispered. No, said the vision. But one did. Zane looked up. Teko? The vision nodded. He is the only one who believes humans deserve a chance. The room began to crumble. The trial was ending. Remember this, the vision said. You can survive. But if you want to win, you'll have to destroy the game itself. Zane woke up outside, the shadow zone lying on stone. His body ached, but his mind was clear. Maya was nearby, awake, breathing hard. Teko was waiting. You saw it, Teko said quietly. Zane didn't answer. He just nodded. Maya asked, What was that? Teko replied. Trial 3, the test of fear and memory. If you broke, your mind would stay trapped inside forever. Zane sat up slowly. We're not just in a trial, he said. We're in a war. And they're trying to erase us without anyone seeing. Teko handed him a small data stone. This will show the path to the control chamber. No one has ever made it there. If you reach it, you could end the trials forever. Zane held the stone tight. How many more trials? Teko looked at the sky. 4. And they only get worse from here. As they walked away from the shadow zone, Zane looked back one last time. He had passed the 3rd trial. But something had changed. He wasn't just a player now. He was becoming something far more dangerous. A threat to the entire system. And someone, somewhere, was watching him with growing fear. Betrayal on the climb. The mountain stood like a wall against the sky. Black stone. Sharp edges. Icy winds slicing through the air like invisible knives. It stretched high above the clouds, its peak hidden. No paths. No ropes. Just a sheer vertical climb. Zane stared up at it in silence. This is the 4th trial? Maya asked, her voice trembling. Teko nodded. They call it the climb of judgment. No technology, no tools, only hands and will. What's the goal? Zane asked. Teko looked up. The top. Only one way forward, up. But beware, it's not just the mountain you must survive. As the trial began, the competitors were released at the base. 15 humans remained, some wounded, some wild-eyed, all desperate. Each was given a band attached to their wrist. Teko explained quietly. These bands track progress. The one who reaches the top first gains control of the next trial's rules. Zane narrowed his eyes. So they've turned it into a race. Worse, Teko said. They've turned it into war. The bands can be removed, but only by force. If your band is removed, you're eliminated. Not just from the trial, from life. Zane understood instantly. This wasn't just a climb. It was a hunt. The first 100 meters were brutal. The rock was cold, jagged. Maya slipped once but caught herself. Zane climbed above her, checking the grips, leading the way. Behind them, the others fought for space, kicking loose stones down, some deliberately. Screams echoed below. One human lost his grip and fell. No one looked back. By nightfall, they reached a narrow ledge halfway up the mountain. They camped in silence, their backs to the wall. Zane sat beside Maya, trying to rest. But he didn't sleep. Not with what he'd seen. Earlier, that day he'd noticed one man following too closely, a tall, quiet competitor named Corvin, someone who had fought beside Zane once during the early days of the refugee battles. Back then, Corvin had saved Zane's life. But here, his eyes held something else. Desperation. Envy. Teko had said it. The mountain doesn't just test strength, it tests loyalty. Zane didn't want to believe it until midnight. He woke to cold steel against his neck. Corvin, don't move, he whispered. I'm taking your band. I'm sorry. Zane didn't move, but his voice was calm. You saved me once. Back on Titan Outpost, remember? Corvin's hands shook. Yeah. And you became the hero. And me? Nothing. Always behind. Always forgotten. You really think the aliens will reward you? Corvin looked away. No. But they promised. If I take you out, my family gets safe passage. They're still alive, Zane. Zane's heart sank. This was it. The real purpose of the fourth trial. Turn human against human. Reward betrayal. Punish unity. Maya moved silently. While Corvin was focused on Zane, she picked up a rock and smashed it into his arm. Corvin shouted, stumbled. Zane moved fast, disarming him, pinning him down, but he didn't kill him. Instead, he looked Corvin in the eyes. They want us to become animals, but we're more than that. Corvin was crying now. I just wanted to protect them. Zane stood and pulled him to his feet. Then climb with us, or fall alone. Corvin hesitated, then nodded. The final stretch of the climb was worse than anyone had imagined. The wind grew stronger, the stone sharper. Strange creatures, half snake, half metal, waited on the cliffs. Lightning danced across the peak. Zane, Maya, Teko, and Corvin moved together. Other climbers attacked each other. One woman cut the rope of another. 2 men fell fighting. At the final ledge, only 6 remained, and then the sky changed. A massive screen formed in the clouds. A voice echoed from above, smooth, cruel, and familiar. Well done, human survivors. You have reached the peak. But only one of you will be given power over the next trial. A platform rose from the rock. Place your bands here. Only one may win. Zane stepped forward. So did the others. But as they placed their bands, the screen flickered and suddenly changed. New footage played. Hidden camera feeds. Aliens in a dark room. Talking. Zane recognized one of them. Teko's father. The fourth trial will guarantee division. If the human named Zane dies, end the trials early and mark them unfit for ascension. Maya gasped. Zane stared at Teko. Teko looked shocked. I didn't know. I swear. The platform beeped. A new message flashed. Winner, Zane Irick. His band blinked green. Zane looked at the others. Their bands blinked red. Eliminated. Maya stepped back, eyes wide. No, they're using you now. Why? Teko whispered. Because you weren't supposed to survive. But now you control the next trial. Zane clenched his fists. Then I'll change the rules. Back at the base of the mountain, the surviving humans were taken away for recovery. Zane was taken to a chamber, clean, quiet, filled with alien lights on the wall. A screen with 7 empty boxes. One now glowed with green light. Trial 4, complete. A voice spoke from behind him. Smooth, alien, female. Zane Irick. You've become problematic. He turned. A tall alien woman, armored in gold, eyes like liquid fire. You're one step from breaking the system, she said. Good, Zane replied. She smiled. Then let's see how you handle Trial 5. The one no human has ever even seen. The trial with no exit. The room was perfect. Too perfect. Smooth gray walls, no doors, no windows. The air was clean. The temperature comfortable. The lighting soft and steady. Zane sat in the center of the room, breathing slow, calm, but his muscles were tight. Ready. This was Trial 5. He had expected monsters, storms, or alien machines. Instead, he got silence. No noise, no exit, no challenge, just time. On the wall in front of him, a countdown appeared. 72 hours. Teko's voice had warned him before they were separated. This trial will not test your body, it will test your mind. And your truth. Zane looked around again. The room had no shadows, no changes. He walked the edges. Every step was echoed perfectly. Every surface was smooth as glass. No buttons, no panels, no clues. He sat down again and waited. 6 hours passed. Then he heard a voice, his own voice. You failed. Zane looked around. Nothing. The voice came again. But now it sounded like his mother. You never should have gone. This is all your fault. His heart beat faster. A screen flashed on the wall. A video. Lyra, crying. Blood on her hands, surrounded by fire. You said you'd survive. You lied. Zane stood up. This isn't real, the voice answered. It is. If your mind believes it, it becomes truth. Meanwhile, far from Zane's chamber, Teiko was being interrogated, not by humans, by his own kind. The alien council had discovered his help. He stood inside a prison, of light, his hands bound by invisible force. Teiko's father, a tall figure of silver and black, stepped forward. You broke the code. You gave a human the map. You allowed him to win Trial 4. Teiko did not bow. Because he earned it. Because he's stronger than all of us, the council leader hissed. You are young. Foolish. This trial was never meant to be fair. I know, Teiko said. And that's why he's going to win it. Back inside the sealed room, Zane had lost track of time. He hadn't eaten, hadn't slept. The room adjusted every time he grew comfortable. Walls shrank slightly when he sat, ceiling lowered when he closed his eyes. It was alive. Then, the floor shifted. He dropped through darkness, landed hard, on dirt. He stood up quickly. Now he was in a maze. Walls made of mirrors. Every reflection showed him, but twisted. One was crying. One was laughing. One was bleeding. One was holding a dead child. His voice echoed again. You carry too much guilt. You don't deserve survival. Zane kept walking. You failed your team. You left your brother behind. You used Lyra's love as a reason to run away from yourself. He stopped. His hands clenched. Enough. He punched one mirror. It shattered. Behind it was a single white button. Zane pressed it. He was back in the white room again. Only this time, a door stood in front of him. On it, a message. Freedom requires truth. He opened it. He stepped into a new chamber, smaller, darker. A single chair sat in the middle. On the wall, a screen. It turned on. Live footage. Lyra, still alive, but in chains. Being led into a cold room by alien guards, a voice whispered, If you leave this room now, she dies. If you stay, she lives. You have 1 minute. Zane stared. Heart pounding. Trap. Lie. But what if it wasn't? He looked around. No, timer. Just silence. You want to break me, he said aloud. You think fear of loss will freeze me. No answer. Just the screen. Lyra whispered. Zane. Don't trust them. And in that moment, he understood. The trial wasn't testing love. It was testing control. If he stayed, he would lose his agency. If he left, he would break the system. Zane turned, walked to the wall, and slammed his fist into it. Again and again. Until cracks formed. The room began to tremble. The screen flickered. Alarms blared. He had broken the trial. Not completed it. Destroyed it. Somewhere deep within the alien city. Teiko saw the signal. Trial 5. Corrupted. The council roared in confusion. Teiko smiled. I told you, he doesn't follow rules. He breaks them. Zane woke up on a field of black glass. Sky above him was filled with alien drones scanning the area. A calm voice spoke from the air. Zane Eric, you have exited Trial 5. No one has ever done that. He stood slowly. Yeah? Good. A figure approached from the horizon. A human. Alive. Bloody? Corvin. He had survived too. But his eyes... Something was wrong. Zane, Corvin said. I have. Orders. Zane stepped back. From who? From the High Council. They said if you survive again, I must end it. Corvin raised a weapon. His hand was shaking. Don't do this, Zane warned. You're better than this. Corvin's voice cracked. They promised my family would live. Zane didn't speak. He just lowered his weapon. Then do it. Corvin froze. The wind blew. For a long moment, Silence. Then Corvin dropped the weapon. "Damn you," he said. "You always were better." Zane smiled weakly. "No, just lucky." They both laughed, just a little. But behind them, the clouds shifted. A new storm was coming. The final trial. Kill or die, the arena was silent, no crowd, no cameras, no judges. Just empty sky above, and a ring of black stone below surrounded by walls that shimmered with alien technology. Zane stood in the center, heart steady, eyes sharp. This was it. Trial 6. The final trial. Across from him stood Corvin. Still alive, still human, but changed. His body was bruised, scarred from the last trial, his face cold, his eyes full of conflict. They had walked through fire together, betrayed each other, saved each other, and now they were enemies. A voice echoed from above, deeper than thunder. 2 humans remain. The final trial begins now. The rule is simple. Only one may leave. A flash of light in the sky and 2 weapons dropped into the arena, swords, glowing with alien energy. They landed between Zane and Corvin. Both men looked at the blades. Neither moved. From a high tower, Teiko watched in secret. He was not supposed to be there. He had hacked into the old broadcast chamber, the one used to control trial projections. His fingers flew over the alien console. "Come on, Zane. Don't let them win." Zane picked up a sword slowly. Its handle was warm, almost alive. Corvin picked up the other. They circled each other, no words yet, just silence and breath. Corvin was the first to speak. "I never wanted it to come to this." Zane nodded. "Me either. But they did." Corvin's grip tightened. They said, "If I kill you, they'll release my sister. She's still in one of their science camps." Zane's voice was calm. "And if I kill you, they offer me command. Full access to the Galactic Alliance, the power to free Earth." They stared at each other. "This isn't a trial," Zane said. "It's a trap." "Yeah," Corvin whispered, "but can we escape it?" The wall surrounding the arena shimmered and changed. It became a display. Millions of aliens were watching. This was a broadcast. Every species in the galaxy was tuned in. The humans, their most feared enemy, had reached the final stage. But instead of showing strength or honor, the aliens wanted to show blood. One must kill the other. They expected savagery. A spectacle. Zane understood now. This trial wasn't about survival. It was about sending a message. Humans are monsters. We gave them a chance and they turned on each other. The countdown appeared in the sky. If no one died in 10 minutes, both would be executed. Corvin charged first. Anger, pain, desperation. Zane dodged, struck once, then stepped back. They fought. Fast, violent. Their blades clashed like thunder. Sparks flew, neither aimed to kill. Not yet. They were testing each other. Stalling. Buying time. But every second the aliens watching grew more excited. Teiko saw the broadcast feed. He understood the trap. He turned to an old system control, one that hadn't been used in decades. If I can access the ancient laws, override the council, maybe I can change the outcome. But he was running out of time. In the arena, Zane was bleeding now. A cut across his ribs. Corvin's arm was bruised, barely working. The countdown flashed. Zane backed away. "We have to fake it," he said, breathing hard. Corvin shook his head. "They'll know. The weapons scan for intent. If we fake a killing blow, the system shuts us both down." Zane looked around, no exits, no cover, no chance unless he looked up into the sky and spoke, loud and clear. "You want blood?" He dropped the sword. "Then hear this." He raised his voice again. "You fear us. That's why you made these trials. Not to test us, to break us. But we are not animals." Audience grew quiet. Every species, every watcher across the galaxy listened. "I won't kill him, even if it means death." Because I'm human. And being human means we protect each other. We choose mercy. The countdown reached vertical 50. Corvin looked at Zane, sword still in hand. His sister's face flashed in his mind. He could end this, save her. He stepped forward, blade raised, and dropped it. I'm with him, he said. Do your worst. Theo, arena froze. The light in the sky flickered. The weapons deactivated. A cold silence filled the world. Then, a new screen appeared. Not the council, not the announcers, but Teko. His voice echoed everywhere. The trial has been overridden. A new law has been activated, the compassion clause. Gasps echoed across the systems. Teko continued. If a human chooses unity over violence, the trials must end. The species has proven its worth. Chaos exploded in the control rooms. But it was too late. The old code, written before corruption, had been triggered. Zane and Corvin stood together in the arena. Above them, the final message flashed. Trial complete. Humanity? Qualified. But the danger was not over. The council would not accept this loss. And they were preparing something worse. Teko's voice came one last time. Zane, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. They're coming for you now. All of them. Zane looked at the sky, then at Corvin. Get ready, he said. For what? Corvin asked. Zane's eyes narrowed. War. She waited. The stars were quiet. Too quiet. After the final trial ended, Zane and Corvin were transported not to celebration, but to containment. A cold metal chamber. No windows. No guards. No instructions. Just silence. Corvin paced like a caged wolf. We passed the trial. We beat their game. Where's the council? Where's the reward? Zane sat in the corner, silent. He already knew. This wasn't a reward. This was stalling. Somewhere far above, in a floating citadel lit by 1,000 alien suns, Lyra stood at a balcony, eyes fixed on the stars. She had watched every trial, every wound, every word. Zane's face still burned in her memory. His promise, her promise. If you survive, I'll marry you. She whispered the words again, softer now. And she waited. But around her the palace was changing. Soldiers lined the halls. Council banners replaced the peace sigils. Whispers moved like ghosts. The human survived. He refused to kill. He's dangerous. The Emperor's son, Sorik, stood behind her, arms crossed. You need to forget him. Lyra didn't even turn. No, he's coming here. Not to marry you, Sorik said, but to start a war. Back in the cell, the walls began to shift. A door opened. No guards, no sound. Teko appeared, bruised, breathing hard, blood on his robes. We have no time, he said. Zane and Corvin followed him without question. Teko led them into a long corridor filled with pipes and flashing blue lights. You're not free, he explained. You're being hunted. The council has labeled you a threat to all civilized systems. So we passed the test. And now they erase us? Corvin growled. You didn't pass, Teko said. You broke it. You proved the system is corrupt. Now they fear what comes. Next, Zane clenched his fists. Let them be afraid. Teko led them into a secret launch bay. A single ship waited, small, fast, invisible to council sensors. But it wasn't just for escape. Zane had only one destination, the Imperial Palace. Hours later, a storm approached the capital moon. Lightning flashed above the sky towers. Council ships circled like vultures. Inside the palace, the marriage ceremony was already prepared. Lyra stood at the altar, Sorik beside her. Say the words, he whispered. She didn't move. And then, the power cut. Lights exploded. The roof cracked, and a ship slammed down on the landing platform like a falling star. Out of the smoke, Zane, armor-scarred, eyes glowing with the reflection of the storm. Behind him, Teko, Corvin, and 2 humans in stolen council gear. The crowd gasped. The guards aimed. But no one fired. Zane walked forward alone. She made me a promise. Sorik stepped down from the altar, sword drawn. You're not welcome here. Zane stared at him, then dropped his own blade at Lyra's feet. I came to claim the truth, not to spill blood. Sorik laughed. And what truth is that? Teko stepped forward. That the trials were lies. That your empire feared humanity. And that you tried to kill Zane before he even entered the arena. Teko raised a device. A hologram activated. Evidence.audio recordings of council leaders discussing rigged trials, corrupted AI, and plans to silence Zane. The room erupted in chaos. Some gasped, some shouted, some guards dropped their weapons. Zane looked at Lyra. And finally, she stepped forward. She picked up his sword, handed it back to him, and turned to the crowd. I promised him I would marry him, if he survived the impossible. And he did more than survive. He exposed your truth. Silence. Then, one clap. Then more. A wave of support rippled through the room. And Zane knew it wasn't just about love anymore. This was the start of a rebellion. That night, the stars changed. The council's lies were broadcast across dozens of systems. Teko was declared a hero by the lower houses. Corvin joined the first human defense fleet. Lyra left the palace. Behind, and Zane? Zane didn't take the throne they offered. He didn't take the medals or the power. He only took her hand. Years later, a new alliance had formed. One with humans at the table. Young soldiers told stories of the trials, of the man who refused to kill, and the woman who waited. In every legend, in every system, the tale was told. She promised to marry him if he survived the impossible trials, and he did. But what they built afterward was even more impossible.